We have an update to that Ghost of Yōtei dev who was celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I reported on that previously when it was happening and the horrible, horrible jokes that were being spewed by not just this individual, but so many people in the game development and journalism community. But this person in particular kind of stood out because Ghost of Yōtei and Sucker Punch Studios in particular had been kind of under the microscope already with the Erika Ishii stuff and going potentially a very woke path. So people were like keeping a very close eye on the studio because the game was supposedly launching fairly soon. And wouldn't you know it, after that happened, she came out with this message. She was fired. I would do it again 100 times stronger. Now, initially, by the way, Seattle, again, I know you're all shocked with Seattle, but when this first came out, people were like, well, is he/she/it, because whatever the hell this thing even is, it kind of looks like a girl, but you never know with these people. If this was them saying, oh, if I get fired, I'm going to do it again. But it turns out it has been confirmed from their LinkedIn account. But Drew said, if standing up against fascism is what cost me my dream job, which, oh, the irony in that, by the way, because fascism literally is silencing someone for their voice, which is what you guys just did. But yeah, sure, go ahead and project fascism on other people. I held for 10 years. I would do it again 100 times stronger. This is someone in the game industry that when you look at their career trajectory on LinkedIn, you recognize that they have done nothing else. They basically graduated college and, according to LinkedIn, went straight into working at Sucker Punch at September 2016 and worked there for nearly 10 years, 9 years, well, 9 years and 1 month. And this does not say present anymore. It has an end date of September 2025 and has confirmed to be updated that they are no longer employed at Sucker Punch. And there's been a lot of fallout from this situation. There are people asking if Sucker Punch is going to release a statement about this. I would expect they would, but then taking a step back and realizing, no, a woke studio is not going to announce this publicly. They'd never admit that they hired a woke activist for their company. Hell, you could argue Sucker Punch entirely is full on woke, and they don't want to admit it. This comes to us from As Heels vs. Babyface. DC Comics and Sucker Punch won't release statements condemning the actions of the fired staff because they are scared. None of you or I, but scared of the backlash from the freaks they employ because they know where the unhinged violence truly comes from. And this got quote tweeted from Endymion, who said, he's right. Sucker Punch will never issue a statement because they're more afraid of their own industry friends than their customers, which tells you everything you need to know, which is that those friends in the industry are not your friends. They never had your back to begin with. They only care about you on the surface as long as you believe what they do. And as soon as you don't, you're just coal for the engine to keep them going. As always, they eat their own. And more information on this person I found out after the fact, after all this started coming through. Go with this one. Got quote tweeted by a bunch of people. We'll start here. I said, Drew Harrison, who worked at Ghost of Yōtei, was allegedly let go from Sucker Punch today for comments about Charlie Kirk. It posted on LinkedIn how much it hates beautiful women being represented in video games. Explains a lot. And this is Drew Harrison on LinkedIn. I find it interesting that when discussions around how games deal with sexualizing characters, it is almost always men discussing how women are depicted in games. We have a very hardcore feminist angle coming in here. I know you're all shocked with the Marxist. This entire thread is men weighing in on how to reach a middle ground and how to make characters that they find physically attractive. Yes, go look at your target audience for your game and then come back to me. There is no balance because the industry is still heavily skewed by being cishet male dominated. Well, it's targeting the audience that purchases the products. This is why communism does not work, by the way. These people want to push ideologies and agendas instead of what capitalism sells to what people will actually purchase. Even your example shows how the real life women fully clothed in a jumpsuit while the character is in her underwear showing underboob. You've literally turned the person who looks and moves like a living person into a stylized Barbie in her underwear. Welcome to a fantasy video game that people purchase and want to enjoy. I would argue, by the way, getting my face bashed in playing Stellar Blade over and over and over again was made far more easy to deal with by every time the game loading up and Eve, just a beautiful female form walking on the screen, getting to the end boss and seeing Raven beat the shit out of me over and over again. I'm like, you know what? At least she's beautiful, and we can at least watch myself get my ass kicked while she's beautiful. I'm not even joking when I say that's something that went through my mind, and I even explicitly said while I was streaming it. The physical attractiveness of characters is such a moot point to creating a good game. Highly disagree. Strongly. I could not disagree anymore. Could you make a good game without a good-looking character? I guess you could, but would that game be better if the character was beautiful? Yes. Every single time. What if it's not believable, Smash? What if it's like this post-apocalyptic world where they don't have the ability to shave their armpits and wax and all this other stuff? What about that? I don't care. It's a video game. Fucking shave her armpits and make her wax. All right, bro. Like, I don't need this. This got quote tweeted by Savvy, who said, they're all the same at the end of the day, and it's so sad how ideologically captured they are. They all use the same rhetoric, the same dehumanizing language, the same anti-biology concepts. And we have, let's see, where is it? This is Grums, who says, it's a good time to remember that AAA devs live in a culture that fosters the celebration of political violence. This is how we got here, with devs feeling free to say things like, kill your local mega at Blizzard back in January, which when that happened, I made a video on that. That was actually one of the videos that Asmongold covered on me way back when I made that. I'm still like in shock that that dude felt brazen enough to say that. Like, dude, read the room, man. Like, you can't talk like this. This is why we have to send message. We cannot let Ghost of Yōtei and Sucker Punch Productions slide while one of their senior devs mocks and celebrates the murder of Charlie Kirk. There are so many studios that allow this type of violent political rhetoric happen in their company Slack channels. We can't tag them all, but you don't need to. All you need to do is hold one studio accountable, Sucker Punch, and the rest will see that gamers will not tolerate the celebration of death and violence that have infested these studios. Do not buy Ghost of Yōtei. And here's the other thing. He's quote tweeting this Kyle Hickey guy of the story I was talking about before. And I wasn't planning on buying Ghost of Yōtei, to be honest, after the whole Erika Ishii stuff and pushing what looked like a girl boss narrative and going a different direction. I didn't want to support Sucker Punch Studios with what they were doing, especially after Ghost of Tsushima. It's so tragic. One of the greatest games I've ever played, and I'm not even joking. And I still recommend people to play that game because it's so fucking good. But no, this one, I don't care if it's good or not. First off, I don't think it's going to be. But secondly, even if it is, sorry, I got other good games to play. I'm not going to be dealing with this one. And there's a lot of people in the replies that are pushing boycott. I've had a ton of people tag me on screenshots showing that they have canceled their pre-orders and telling me they are done with this company. Yellow Flash was posting how he is done with this game too and doesn't want anything to do with it. And people replying to him about that they're also canceling it. So a lot of people across the board are canceling their pre-orders. And it already has, from what I've seen, a very low pre-order count going into launch. And the PR surrounding this game is absolutely atrocious, to the point where I would even argue if you were a company that partnered with Ghost of Yōtei, it will actually hurt your brand. We have Pirate Nation saying Ghost of Yōtei has announced a beer collab with Sapporo. And that, I don't think it's going to turn out as bad as the Bud Light, but it's certainly not going to do any favors for Sapporo with what's going on here. And people can say, oh, you're blowing this out of proportion. They only quote tweeted and retweeted a couple things. It's really not that bad. First off, the fact that someone is celebrating the assassination of a dude that is just having a conversation on a college campus is insane to me. That we live in a world, in a time where not just one or two people, but a vast amount of people on social media have found each other and pushed this narrative forward that it's okay to celebrate this over someone that legitimately was, by all accounts, a very great husband, amazing father, and someone that had, you could even argue, milquetoast takes. They weren't even that brazen. And it was actually reaching the youth. And the left couldn't handle that. And somebody was brazen enough on their own to push back and take them out. This is that person who has now officially changed their profile name after they got fired. Drew punching Nazis till I die. Totally not a mental breakdown going on here from this she/her in Seattle. And would you look who she's retweeting here? I believe that's Alyssa Mercante, who left X, but is continuing to cry now on Blue Sky, and is currently suing me. A prominent right-wing streamer published a very dangerous YouTube video about the Kirk assassination yesterday. In it, he suggests political violence is 90% from the left. I mean, that's probably an understatement. It might be closer to like 95 to 98%. But hey, maybe, I believe she's referencing Asmongold here, to be clear. And that the right will no longer bring a knife to a gunfight. I think she means gunfight. She said gun right. I don't necessarily agree with Asmongold's take on that. But yes, he did take that perspective. That was one of those where I'm like, I don't know if we're at that point yet. If I were to be like an apologist for Asmongold, I would say he's probably concerned that that's the direction this is going. And eventually we will get to that point if it keeps going down this road. And it will keep going down this road if the violence is over 90% coming from the left, which I would argue it definitely is. But yes, I think it's funny how these people always have a way to find each other. Isn't it a small world when you get down to it? All these people, these vast amounts of crazy people online, and yet we have someone over here retweeting Alyssa Mercante. I wanted to share this one too. This is the Desembro, great channel. He says, studios have hundreds of people these days. Can't blame the entire studio and game over a few people. You know what? You're right. So fire them immediately and issue a fucking statement that this disgusting rhetoric is not something you condone. I've seen people lose more over fucking pointless jokes. Nobody even seems to remember anymore. If they don't correct this, then they stand by it. So it is a situation where Sucker Punch has let this Drew person go today, and that is impressively fast work for the company that did not issue a statement. I am shocked they didn't issue a statement. I know I shouldn't be, but why would they fire this person and not? It sends such a weird mixed message. It's almost like they are admitting that they know it's wrong, but they don't want to announce it's wrong because they still believe it themselves. And it's Sucker Punch for you. That's Sucker Punch in a nutshell. Savvy says, it's not enough to me that they're fired. We've seen the ridiculous rhetoric from their team and the infestation of activists. Even the main character is loony. They did this to save face, not because they are decent. My husband was originally going to get the game. He is not anymore. He was their target audience. I could argue I was also their target audience because Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games ever, but he's not the type to be online, but that behavior was unacceptable. Even he knows that person felt comfortable enough to say it publicly because those around it support it. The wallets remain closed. Endymion, Ghost of Yōtei dev who declared Charlie Kirk deserved to die has been fired. The senior producer who liked posts about Kirk dying is still working there. These people worship death and want more. No quarter. That is wild, by the way, too, that someone liked the post. It wasn't enough to get them fired, but retweets was enough, or making a post themselves, which you could argue, again, not a massive attack at him, but still just taking the side of, I'm championing this death, let's bring it on. That's bad enough. That's bad enough to lose your job. I would argue liking that is bad enough to lose your job. Now, if the guy were to say, oh, I liked it by accident, I didn't mean to like it, you might be able to get away with that one for a little bit. But my goodness, what are we doing here? This is an absolute PR disaster for Sucker Punch Studios and Sony in general. These are the type of people that are destroying the game industry from the inside out, rotting it to the core. The people that I and too many other YouTubers to even mention right now have been screaming from the fucking mountaintops for what feels like years now, saying, stop hiring these people. They will destroy your company. They will ruin gaming, and they won't care about it. They are a disease that will move on. They are cancer to your company, and they will move on and circulate to another company until they destroy that one, rot it away, and do the same thing over and over again. We're seeing it happen in real time. The BioWare writers, Trick Weeks getting hired at another company, Corinne Bush getting hired at Wizards of the Coast, all these people getting rehired again back in the game industry after completely tanking, blowing hundreds of millions of dollars on game franchises, are getting new opportunities, and in many chances getting promotions and failing upwards. And these game companies ultimately are going to pay the biggest price of all, losing everything financially by continuing to perpetuate hiring these people. They don't have anyone to blame but themselves. There are so many great studios out there, so many great games, great developers that I will happily be playing and giving my money to. That's the problem. The competition is ruining them. These people have no place to hide anymore. And they're going to keep failing. And we're going to be here for it, reporting on it to make sure that we can continue fixing the game industry and putting it back on the track. But I will leave that one there.